Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for declining leftover food at my BFS friend's barbecue after the group ate first right in front of us? Tell me your thoughts on if this was rude. I, 37F, met my, and now ex-38M, ex's friends for the first time at a pre-drink/barbecue he invited me to join him on. They seemed nice enough, but prior to getting there my ex said that his friend MSGD and said the host feels bad because they are having a barbecue and there may not be enough food for everyone, so if we see food lying around after not to feel bad that we weren't given food. I said this is fine, of course. I assumed he meant they'd have already eaten and there would be evidence of said barbecue around. We get there, and it's clear they haven't eaten yet. 8 people were invited of the 12 guests to eat, 4 of us were not. When it came to meal time, the 8 of them sat around a nicely set table and chowed down, like filled their plates and ate up without making eye contact with us while we stood on the outside of the table chatting. I thought this was so weird. My ex did not, I guess. It was awkward because we were actually starving. When the meal was done, our host got up and said, "Guys, please help yourself." AKA to the leftovers, lol. I know people are all raised differently, but this struck me as so odd. My ex went and got some food on a plate and came up to me and said, "Come eat," and for some reason, I just couldn't get myself to do it. I don't even know these people and it was so uncomfortable. I politely said, "No thank you," and carried on my conversation. Well, my ex was so bothered by this reaction from me, it ruined the whole evening for him and we actually broke up after that. He broke up with me. He had originally said we would just eat together at the street festival, so I was bothered that he put me in that position and then was mad at me for choosing not to eat and grabbing a snack on the street. Is this culturally normal behavior for some people? I live in Canada. I could never eat in front of a guest in my home and not feed them, but is this normal behavior for some? Was I rude or in the wrong for doing this? Or was he gaslighting me by being mad and making me feel like the rude person for declining food? Top comments. No, this is so weird. To specifically single out guests to only get leftovers while the first crew gets their pick. I don't know anyone who would do this. I would have been appalled and acted just the way you did. I'm good, I'll eat what I planned on eating, I don't need to pick through your leftover, cold food. They all could have had a little less to be able to share with the 4 people not included, or asked you to bring a couple of burgers so you weren't left out, especially if you were going somewhere where they had food. NT. Sounds like you dodged a bullet with that guy. OP replies. Right? There was so much food too, they piled their plates. I think the oddest part is we just shouldn't have been there, like should have come an hour later after they ate. He made me feel like I was being difficult though I was very polite. He got mad at me because I had a couple drinks after, also was not offered any drinks by the host, and because I didn't eat, I got a buzz and he kept aggressively saying, "Well, that's because you didn't eat anything, lol." What? Not the a-hole. Who has a barbecue, invites people and doesn't have enough food for everyone? A-holes, that's who, unless your ex invited himself and you without informing the host, but he's an a-hole either way. I'm with you. I never eat until everyone else at my home has made a plate and I always make sure to have enough food. Apparently your ex is an a-hole for breaking up with you for a stupid reason. Sounds like you dodged a bullet and better off without him and his a-hole friends. This sounds like a mess. Why would you invite people to a barbecue whom you can't feed? Not the a-hole. OP replies. To be fair, I suspect she did not invite us, rather my ex was not invited but his friends were, so they asked if he could join with his date. I got the vibe she felt bad about it, but I still could never eat in front of guests and not offer them food. We just should not have been there until after they ate. My first thought was, do they hate my boyfriend? LOL. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my mother-in-law redecorate our nursery? So I, 26F, am currently 32 weeks pregnant with mine and my husband Felix's, 27M, first child. Things have been going well and one of the great things is that Felix is a builder and so everything with the nursery went pretty smoothly pretty fast. We agreed at the start what kind of vibe we wanted to go with it and it's pretty much already done. Figured that we'd get it sorted as soon as possible so it wasn't another thing to worry about later. My mother-in-law has always been a bit of a nightmare but has been better since the news that I'm pregnant, though not without issue. For example, she told me that I should lose some weight and that it wasn't healthy for me or the baby. She knows that I used to struggle with anorexia and I'm not any sort of unhealthy weight. In the past I've kept my mouth shut and let Felix deal with her. As the nursery has almost been completed, she's suddenly decided to invite herself around more. I work from home currently. She comes in on the regular, asks me when I'm going to have lunch and, "Oh, could you just pop me something in too?" And then we'll wander into the nursery and start rearranging things. I know this sounds stupid, but once she literally bought an IKEA bag full of stuff that she put in there. It doesn't match. But I've never said anything really beyond, "Oh, thanks so much for the thought," etc. Yesterday when she came around uninvited, she looked me up and down and said, "Really? Joggers? Thank God Felix isn't here," and then walked into the nursery and started asking me where the pillow she'd put in the crib had gone, why I'd taken out the fairy lights hanging on the wall right by it, etc. I explained that they were potential safety hazards to the future baby and that I'd taken them out. She started with, "Oh, well, I've had 3 children and I really think you should take more of my advice," and then looked me in the eyes and said, "You're really not going to be a good mother at this rate." I don't know if it was the pregnancy hormones, but I just stared at her for a moment and then told her to get out of the house. I'd been up all night and had loads of work and wasn't in the mood. She got very uptight about it and then left. Felix says he's going to talk to her and tell her that she shouldn't be reorganizing anything without our permission, but I don't know if it was just the hormones and I'm being unreasonable. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Felix needs to put down a lot more boundaries. No more popping by when he isn't around. She has to ask him to come over and can only do so when he says yes and he is there. No more talk about your health or weight, ever. No redecorating or moving anything in your house. I'm sure there need to be more. This is to get you started with him. He needs to protect you and your child. Not the a-hole. Felix needs to shut this down like yesterday. She's being openly disrespectful to you. She can no longer come over uninvited. She needs to call and schedule a visit like everyone else. Also, if she has a key to your home, change the locks. No more bringing unwanted items for the baby. While you appreciate the thought, you and Felix want to prepare the baby's room the way you want it. This is your baby. She had a chance to decorate how she wanted with her kids and now it's your turn. No more passive-aggressive comments to or about you. If this isn't shut down, she will continue this around your child. She will talk badly about you around/to your child. This is disrespectful to you and should immediately be stopped. Actions have consequences. If she breaks any boundary you and Felix have set, she won't see the baby for X amount of time. That could be days, weeks, months, or even a year, depending on how severe the boundary she broke was. You could even do it, first offense X days, second X months, 3 RD permanent. This is something you and Felix need to sit down now and talk about. This blatant disrespect needs to stop and it needs to stop immediately. This can't continue if for no other reason than your mental health. She knows you have an ED and is deliberately using it against you. What is her end goal? For you to spiral so she can tell everyone you're an unfit mother? That sounds psychotic. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I won't be going to his birthday dinner since he asked if I would leave early anyway? For context, I will be 38 weeks pregnant on my husband's birthday this year. The previous week, I reluctantly allowed his sister to pick my daughter up from school so she could spend the day with her and his parents. She does half days still. I say reluctantly because they have continuously crossed parental boundaries in the past, but that's a different story. It had been a while, and she loves them and I truly want them to have a relationship, so I gave it another go. Anyway, my husband and I went to pick her up at his parents' and while there, his sister asked what he was doing for his birthday coming up. I had asked him a number of times already what he wanted to do, had thrown out some ideas for us to do as a family as well, but he never decided on anything. So, he says he doesn't have plans. She asked if he wanted her to make him dinner at her apartment then and he said yeah, that sounds good. It would be a family dinner, his parents, her partner, and our family. All good. Tonight, he said that we could drive separately because he doesn't want to leave early. He asked me at dinner if I would leave early with our daughter so I could put her to bed. He wants to stay and drink and smoke and be up late. This majorly upset me because this whole pregnancy has not felt like a partnership whatsoever. He only made one of my several ultrasounds, I'm over 35, so get a good amount of them, works almost every weekend voluntarily versus making plans with my daughter, and I put off doing things I physically cannot do for the nursery until the third trimester I've been asking him to do since the first. I've also asked him to look into ways he can support me during birth, and not a single Google search has been made to that effect. I'm not sure if I'm being the crazy pregnant lady, but it certainly feels like he just wants to do whatever he wants without any regard to me carrying this child he told me desperately wanted. I was fine with one. Our birthdays are close, the baby's due date is only 2 days after mine, so I'll be 40 weeks for my birthday if she doesn't decide to arrive before then. So for my birthday, I don't get to do anything but be pregnant and wait for baby. It would be nice to feel like he wants to spend these special occasions with me/my daughter and I. He clearly is not empathetic to the fact that I can't go out and do these things for this period of time, so to be told to go home he can is hurtful. I told him that in that case, I don't even want to be there, and she, my daughter, and I aren't going to dinner. Honestly, I would not be in a mood to celebrate and just get upset anyway. But it does constantly feel like as much as he claims to be a family guy, spending quality time with us doesn't matter to him. Top comments. He shouldn't be getting drunk and stoned when you are 38 weeks pregnant. It's normal to go into labor from week 37, so he should be staying sober just in case. He also sounds like a selfish jerk who doesn't appreciate his wife and child. I think he has emotionally left this relationship. Too many red flags for things he is doing or has not done. Sounds like his family is full of jerks. I would start analyzing this situation and determine if it's worth staying in. Don't be a single parent in a marriage. Next story. Am I the a-hole for repeating back what he said to me? Me, 24F, and my boyfriend, 29M, were sat on the sofa when I mentioned how bloated I am. I just ate a huge serving of pasta. He turns and says, "You look 4 months pregnant," to which I said in return, "Yeah, well, you look 8 months pregnant." He's taken massive offense to my reply back, stating because I'm not actually fat and that he was joking. His comment was okay, however, because he is on the larger side and struggles with his weight, I shouldn't have said that. I replied back saying he shouldn't have said that in the first place then, and to take it as you will. He said that there's things you shouldn't joke about if the other person is self-conscious about. So I replied back saying if he's so self-conscious about his weight, then he shouldn't be joking about other people's weight regardless of if they're self-conscious about it or not. He said he will starve himself for 2 weeks now because of that comment. He stormed off and shut himself in the bedroom because he can't believe what I said to him and demanded an apology. I did apologize twice. Am I the a-hole in this situation? Top comments. Not the a-hole. It was clearly said in a joking manner. He way overreacted. It's not like you guys were in a heated argument and you mentioned his weight to hurt his feelings. Y'all were being silly, and even if he was sensitive about it, he should have just taken it because it was innocent. Not the a-hole. If you can't take it, don't give it. That's a very basic rule of life. He needs to grow up if he doesn't already understand that. Next story. Am I the a-hole for taking a solo bedroom instead of sharing with a stepbrother? My dad and his wife bought a new house together and we moved in last week. Before moving, I, 15M, was told I could get my own room or share with one of my stepbrothers, 11 and 7. Even though I was offered the choice, my dad and his wife wanted me to share with one of the boys. The reason for that is both stepbrothers think of me as a brother, not a step, and because they both admire me/look up to me. The 7-year-old hero worships me and is super clingy and always wants to hang out and be my friend and be my brother. It's a lot, really. I don't like it. Sometimes I like getting out of the house just to not have my shadow with me everywhere I go. Most people would find it sweet, but I find it exhausting. When we lived in the other house, he always wanted to sleep in my room for sleepovers and stuff and was disappointed when I'd say no. The 11-year-old has autism and he looks up to me too, but in a different way. I'm one of the only people he has ever wanted to spend time with. I'm one of the only people he's comfortable around too. He doesn't sleep great but will nap if I'm in the room, so they thought I'd be good for him in that way. They think I'd be good for both, but they don't have the closest of relationships, and the 7-year-old can make the 11-year-old edgy, so them sharing is not a great solution. I never wanted to share with either of them, and since we all live together 100% of the time, no other parents to go to, I knew having my own room was a big deal for me. So I chose my own room. My dad and his wife were really unhappy about it. They gave me the choice though, for reasons, so they're willing to follow through, but they're also going to make sure I know how disappointed and unhappy it makes them. We became a stepfamily 2 years ago, by the way. So am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. You made the choice that is right for you. Having to share with a younger kid wouldn't have worked. Honestly, the stepmom needs to realize that. If the other two have to share, maybe help figure out how to make a divider so they both get privacy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not defending my stepmother when my dad's family insulted her? My grandparents hosted a family dinner on Sunday, and for a while my dad left because something came up at work for him. My sister, 16F, and I, 17M, were sitting with our cousins when our stepmother corrected us when we said we had big plans for Halloween and Christmas this year, because we were going to be with our maternal side of the family. She told us those plans still need to be approved by her because Dad said yes without running it by her. This is when my dad's family stepped in and told her she doesn't have the right to stop us from spending time with our maternal family. My stepmother said as our mom she does, and since our maternal family never speaks to her or tries to befriend her, she has the right to say they're not good for us. Then our grandparents told her she's not our mom, and the more she pretends to be, the less respect she has from anyone. Then it became a situation where our grandparents and our aunts and uncles piled on her and reminded her that she didn't give birth to us. We didn't call her mom. They accused her of preying on a grieving man who was 11 months out from losing his wife when she swooped in and claimed us as hers, and they rubbed it in her face that neither my sister or I actually value her or love her or want her in our lives. It became a huge fight between them, and my stepmother stormed out. She tried to make my sister and me leave with her. But we refused to go with her, and we said we were staying with our family. Dad was pissed as hell when he came to pick us up, and he asked me if I stepped in to defend my stepmother, a woman in our family, and I said no. He asked me why the hell not, and I told him I didn't want to defend her and didn't disagree with everything being said. My stepmother asked why I hadn't spoken up for her, and I told her because everything they said is true and I would never defend her from anything. Dad was threatening to not give us the extra time with mom's family at Christmas, and my sister kinda talked him around on that because she cried to him, which made him give in. But I got lectured 2 days this week already about 10 years of being a stepmother deserving more respect and value and being worthy of defending. My dad told me I'm a few months away from being a man and I need to act more like one, and that means defending the women in our lives, but especially the ones we love. I told him I always defend the people I love when I need to. This made my stepmother cry. It made my dad walk out of the room to calm down because his wife was crying. Dad told me I'm a bad example to my sister, and the only reason she doesn't adore our stepmother is because she has followed my lead, and I should think about my influence and the fact I'm risking a relationship with my stepmother in the future. I should add I have said similar things to her before and to my dad. But they don't really listen. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Tell your dad that, the more you'd push the narrative that she's a mother figure, the more we'll reject her. No nicknames, no specific moments, no nothing. That goes for you as well. We will respect her when she understands that respect is earned, not given. We get that she's loved by you, we merely tolerate her. She's not our mother, and she'll never be, and if that's a problem for you, so be it. Not the a-hole. That's a fight your stepmother picked, I can only assume deliberately. Unless she is either bone stupid or delusional, she must have known what room she was in when she chose to shoot off her mouth and claim rank over your actual relatives. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.